This story takes place in the summer of 1994. I was 10 years old. My mother at the time was a stay-at-home mom, and so she was home with myself and my brother, who at the time was 7. And it was a gorgeous summer day. We were hanging out by the pool, and all of a sudden, I feel something walking on my head. And so I put a hand up to sort of feel what's walking on my head and go like this, and a bird flew off of it, and it flew up into a tree. So the three of us are standing there looking at this bird going, well, that's new. That doesn't normally happen. And the bird is not the sort of bird that you would normally see just in the yard in Massachusetts. It was a very colorful green, pinks, peaches, like very pretty tropical sort of looking bird. So we're all staring up at this bird, and all of a sudden the thing dive bombs me like I'm Tippi Hedren in The Birds. So my mom and I completely freak out. She, in that moment, Sophie's choice, my brother, throws him in the house, runs in behind him, locks the slider door. So I'm on the outside with this ridiculous bird on my head, pounding on the glass, crying and screaming, please let me in, please, I don't know what this bird wants. My mother is on the inside, screaming and crying, saying, I can't let you in because then there'll be a bird in the house and we'll have to move. So finally my mother gets like her wits about her and she yells at me, go jump in the pool. Go jump in the pool and the bird will fly off your head. So I run, I jump in the pool, and the bird does fly off, and I got out of that pool so fast. I ran to the slider door. She opened it a crack. She let me in. She locks it again. Like the bird was going to come and try to, like, get the door open. So I'm finally in the house. My mother and I on the breezeway floor in hysterics. My brother's probably just, I gotta get out. He's like 7. He's already exhausted. He's like, this is why I'm going to become a Marine. So it's 1994, right? And my dad's in construction, and he always had some sort of like gadget, whether it was a beeper or one of those like Nextel walkie-talkie things or a car phone. So I don't know what it was in 1994, but my mother called my father at work at the job site hysterically and said, you have to come home. A bird keeps landing on Matt. And my father's like, what? And she's like, you have to come home. A bird keeps landing on Matt. And he's like, okay, she's been in this house with these kids for 10 years. She's finally lost it. Poor woman. Okay, I will come home as soon as I can, and we will deal with this bird that keeps landing on Matt. So anyway, it was a gorgeous summer day. It was probably before noon, this bird attack. So my brother wanted to go back outside, and my mother must have breathed into a paper bag or something. Maybe she figured like the bird just wants Matt, like we're safe. So they go back outside. And I finally was coaxed back out, but only after I'd put like 2 towels on my head, like I was Annie Lennox in the Walking on Broken Glass music video. And my father finally comes home, and all of a sudden, the bird lands on his head. But he didn't have a conniption. He just reached up and grabbed the bird. So what basically was deduced was that it must have been somebody's pet, and the bird had a blonde owner, and it used to walk around on the owner's head, and it got out and it got confused and it got it wrong. But this is like 1994, so we couldn't put things up on like Craigslist or online on Facebook. So we had to get a cage and keep the damn thing for 2 weeks while we put ads in the newspaper that said, did your fucking bird land on my head? And we hated that thing, and the bird hated us. After 2 weeks, this lady comes who had lost her bird. She had a tight perm and a lazy eye. It wasn't her bird, But she loved it. She kissed its beak. She called it Mickey. We just said, honey, you know what? It's yours. Go with God. Get this thing out of our living room. And she took it. And that was the end of the peach-faced lovebird. Nightmare. I used to do stand-up comedy in New York City. I told the story at Caroline's. My mother was in the audience. She'd had like one rum and Coke. All of a sudden I hear, I did do that. It's like funny now, but I always remind her that, you're going in a home. I have a bald spot in the back, and I think that's where the bird probably landed. It's probably the stress. All right, that's it. That's the bird story. Stay away from me, birds.